son. And I said to my master, suppose a woman does not follow me. And he said to me, the Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you to make your journey successful. Now you see why he was successful? Because the angel of the Lord was with him. Now do you see how you're going to be successful as you continue in your Christianity? Because the angel of the Lord will be with you. As it was with him, so it is with you. And when I see Christians dropping off in the abyss, I'm saying, man, what are you doing? God is still with you. But then when you say, God's not working on my timetable, I want it to be now. No, look what happened. Verse 41. Then you will be free from my oath when you come to my relatives. And if they not give her to you, you are free from my oath. In other words, he told Rebekah's family, if you all don't let her go, then I got to get up out of here and go home. Unsuccessful. So I came today to the spring and I said, oh Lord, he's just rehearsing that again over. And then he says in verse 43, behold, I am standing by the spring, and may it be that the maiden who comes out to draw, and to whom I say, please give me a drink of water from your jar. And she will say to me, you drink and will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed. He broke things. You see, he's determined to come and be with his master. He is determined. Smart bulldog. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her jar. Blah, 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 blah. So he told them that. And what I'd like to share with you now is a response from the family. And I believe I was looking at it last night or early this morning, because there was a verse here, and you guys should be looking with me, because I did mark it on my outline. But there's a verse here when the family said that they didn't want Rebekah to go. They said, give us a few days to think about that. You mean to we're going to let this beautiful woman just get up on some camels and leave with you and go all the way back on the other side of the country? See, they didn't want to do that. See, they had to trust God. And that's why when it says in verse 55, but her brother and, oh yeah, that's it, verse 55. But her brother and her mother said, let the girl stay with us for a few days, say 10. In other words, they wanted her to stay a couple of weeks, and afterwards she may go. See, they said, wait, we got to make sure that this is right. We just can't have this girl just getting up, leaving like that. See, the Bible is a very human book, and people are going to be human and have those kinds of things. And he said to them, this is what Eliezer said, do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the girl and consult her wishes. And they called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? And look what she said, I will go. She didn't have to wait 10 days. See, she had to trust God. Eliezer had to trust God. Her family had to trust God. Abraham back in his home, he had to trust God. He don't know what's happening. And the last dude that we're going to look at in this thing is Isaac. Because now you got to ask, well, what was he doing? 40 years old, sending off his daddy's chief servant to get him a wife. God is working through all that. What you think Isaac doing? Fooling around? Playing the hanky-panky with all the other girls in the complex? You know, hey, you know, I'm 40 years old. I mean, I don't know how God's going to work, you know. Now, my daddy Abraham, he went to Hagar and got the Egyptian woman. You know, I am my daddy's boy. And so, you know, I could do that. I mean, we got all these excuses why we shouldn't follow God. You know, life ain't treating me well right now. I've been lonely too long. I've been lonely. You're right. Let's look at Isaac and check him out. I call him the waiting groom. The waiting groom. He's there waiting on the chief magistrate to bring him a woman. I wonder how brothers would be waiting today. Ridiculous, ridiculous. The waiting groom, even at the ripe age of 40, he too had to trust God. See, there's nobody off the hook. What we try to do is we think that we're off the hook because our situation is unique, Garland. But God knows, hey man, this is my situation. I can't trust God like John. He old. He been through it a while. I'm a young man. I'm in my 20s. I'm in my 30s. I mean, I got to sow my wild oats. My daddy did it. My granddaddy did it. My big brother did it. My cousins do it. And if you're a young lady, you're saying, hey, what do they say? My biological clock is ticking. You know, they're out there trying to have babies and everything else. Hey, I got to do what I got to do because I don't want to become, quote unquote, an old maid. What in the world is an old maid? There's no such thing as an old maid. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells you that if you're single, you can do more for God. See, I didn't have to worry about nobody talking to me last night at 1:30 in the morning. Come to bed, come to bed. Wasn't nobody saying nothing. What I was coming to was this outline. And I had to say, what was Isaac doing back there? Well, we're going to take a good look and check him out. And I like what he's saying. He, above all the characters in the script, had to trust God the most. Because his daddy ran off with it. Eliezer ran off with it. And there's a woman running off with it. And he ain't got nothing to say about it. He had to trust God more than everybody else. Because Eliezer could have brought him a ugly woman. Could have brought him a woman that he couldn't even get along with her, you know, could have been running him out. Something Eliezer could have chose what Eliezer wanted. And not what God wanted. See what I mean? So Isaac really had to be the strongest one. Men, you got to be stronger than anybody else. Because when you down in the dumps, God is looking for you to stand up and be that kind of person. Now let's look at verses 62 to verse 63a. Now Isaac had come from going to Beer-lahai, for he was living in the Negev, that's in the desert part. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field towards evening, and lifting up his eyes. Now let me stop right there. What was Isaac doing while all this is going on? Praying and trusting God. See, now this is what gets me, because I talk to Christians and their lives take a switch. First thing that they stop doing, mother, is praying. They're not praying anymore. Look, God's taking too long. Too long, and I'm living in the city, and I'm going to make this thing happen. What is Isaac doing while all of this in the evening? He's on his knees before God. Saying, I'm 40 years old. Man, you know I'm lonely. Please, please. And Eliezer's there with his hands folded looking at the woman. Smiling. Now wait a minute. And Abraham, the father of the faithful, he's probably thinking, I don't want to make a mistake like I made with Sarah, Lord Jesus. Oh, please, please. They're all praying. And Isaac is in the field praying. Men, don't be afraid to pray. Go to God and say, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm saying. This is good. Unlike so many men today in our culture, we note Isaac's demeanor. Godly men are always engaged in prayer and supplication. I'm glad they didn't have telephones back then. Because Isaac wasn't calling his buddies. Come on, Doc, what you think I ought to do? What you think I ought to do? Man, what would you do if you was in? No, he's out in the Negev, in the desert, by himself, praying. I don't know whether you've ever seen a man pray. He could be standing at the bus stop and his